I'm Mike, and this is My Car Shop. Today we're going to start laying out the sheet metal profile for the frame rails on the 70 Challenger. Hope you enjoy this episode.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
All right, so as I mentioned, we're going to be continuing the process here on the 70 Challenger. You've seen me do I call it the wire method, for figuring out exactly what dimension to cut sheet metal for bending parts. So I won't belabor that point today, but that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to be laying out the profile and then finding a piece of sheet metal that is about that size and going through the process of making a template to make sure that all my dimensioning is correct, so that we can start bending up the parts ahead of time for the frame rails on the back of the car. So I've done some looking at the car today. I was out here cleaning the shop. Thanks for busting my chops, Mark, because it needed it. And I have a few concerns about the way things are moving around on the car right now. When I'm moving the back of the car up and down, the quarter panels are definitely doing this, and that's because those frame rails are weak. I knew that was going to be a possibility. I'm not concerned about it, but I'm concerned about it, if that makes sense. It's an awareness thing that when I get this car up on the jack stands where it needs to be, I need to make sure that everything is nice and square. So there'll be some layout time that's going to be spent on this, getting that set up. I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to share. I mean, if you really want to see that stuff, drop a comment down there, let me know. But it's pretty tedious stuff, so we'll see how it goes. But today, like I said, I just really want to make sure that everything's going to work with the equipment I have to bend up these frame rails, and so we'll go from there. Oh, I have one more thing I want to share with you also. So as I had mentioned before, I had ordered the gas tank. I was hoping last episode it was going to be here. It didn't show up until a few days ago, so it's been a while. It's been about 3 or 4 days since I put out the episode. I'm very happy with this tank. The straps aren't here yet. But the tank looks great, so I'll be able to check all the work that I did and make sure that it's going to fit good in the car with the trunk floor support that this goes up against. So I'm leaving it sit right here on the hood of the 74 right now so it doesn't get damaged. It's way too nice for that car right now as far as I'm concerned. But I'm just setting that aside for now. I'm sure it's going to be fine, and I want to move on with this other project. Okay, so as you can see, once again, I've got my nice little wire template made. Find somewhere you can see that good. There we go. So this gives me the profile that I'm going to need lengthwise and so forth, as you've seen in the last 2 episodes. So if by chance you haven't seen those, it'll be, I think, in this corner or this corner. Anyway, I'll make sure that we put a little pop in there so you can watch the 2 episodes where I laid out more in detail how to make this and the purpose of it. So let's go forward now and find out exactly how long this needs to be and what size of a piece of metal I'm going to need. And then we'll go over to the sheet metal brake and bend one up. Okay, so off camera, I'm letting that dry, and I was doing some more calculating, so I went back and made my profile piece again. And again, there's math, as I showed you before. This is a little bit bigger part, and so I'm being a little bit more extra cautious. And so I'm measuring things against the car with my caliper. But basically what I've come up with is 3/4 3 1/4, 3/4, and then across the bottom 2, and that totals up to 10 inches. So there's my math if you want to check it, but that should be what we need. So I'll go over and show you what I did on the car just to double check it. So I came over here and I set my caliper to about 3 1/4. It's a little bit bigger, but that's fine. And I went down in here to the frame using the back side of the caliper and just came from the lip here down, and it lines up dang close to the bottom edge of the frame there. So I measured my piece up here, and this is just to double check myself. I measured my width up here, and it comes out 0.77, so 3/4, close enough. And then of course across here it's like 1.95, so 1.93, so 2 inches, and that's good. I'm comfortable with 100 thousandths of variables on that. So I wasn't as concerned about that with the trunk brace because small piece, who cares? But I wanted to make sure that the frame rail wasn't going to be off by a huge amount when I bend it up. So and they're the same on both sides as far as dimensionally. So I'm going to make just 2 pieces 3 feet long or close to 3 feet long, so that I have the frame rails done ahead of time. So when I get at this, I can literally just cut stuff out and get that new piece of frame rail welded in there within a day or two. And so I'm getting ahead of myself here, but that's what my thinking is on all of this. Okay, so I've got the piece of tin here, and it's hotter than a cat on a hot tin roof right now because I had it stuck right into the outlet on the furnace. But what I will do, and I won't take time to do that on camera, I'm going to go ahead and lay out my pieces. The first thing I'm going to have to do is straighten out one edge. I'll probably use this edge to straighten out. Get it nice and square to the bottom here, and then I can start dimensioning things this way. Sorry, got to go this way. My bad, got to go this way to get my 10 inches. So yeah, I go this way, I'm in trouble. So this edge is already straight, so I'm just going to start laying that out. Once I've got it laid out, I'll square it up just so it looks better, but that's just because I'm kind of anal that way. So so we'll get this squared up and start measuring it out. I got the piece of metal all laid out after the paint dried, got it all scored up where everything needs to be folded, and I'm going to square it up so that I'm not dealing with this extra crap that's around the outside edges. So I'll get that trimmed up here, and then we can get it in the brake and start bending the parts. Okay, so we got the little test piece made up just like you've seen me do on the trunk support floor here, the trunk floor support. Turned out good. One thing I've got to remember is not to bend the verticals 100%. I need to bend those probably about 60% of the way on both sides, so that I have room to do these. It gets in the way. When a small piece, I can just bend this by hand, but when I've got a 3 foot long piece, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. So what my intention will be is bend this. I'll show you where I want it. Probably somewhere in this vicinity so that I have lots of room on the brake. And then I can put this I've got some pieces of metal that I can put in my vise and just take and hammer and dolly this in to get it down to the shape that I want. The other way I could do this, if I wanted to, I could do this part on the brake and get this contour the way I want it. And then I could do this on the tipping wheel in the bead roller, but I don't think it's necessary. From what I learned by experience on this, I don't think I'm going to need to tip that with the tipping wheel. I think we'll be okay like this. So we'll go with what I'm planning here, but I will just keep that to be more, like 60% of this bend here and here, and then work on just hammering and dollying that into shape once I've got that piece made. I think that's going to be fine. This piece is obviously a bit thinner metal that I'm going to be working with for the frame, but it's going to do the job. So anyway, the profile looks good. I'm very happy with this. The frame is buckled all over the place here, but I slipped it up in place. You can see how nice that fits there. I'll get you over there so you can see it. So you can see how nice this piece fits there. It snuggles right around that frame. Obviously, I'm not capping this frame. I'm going to replace it. But if I wanted to make a frame cap, I certainly could, and it's tempting. But I want to replace this completely. with new, so that's what we're going to do. But it fits nicely, and I'll be able to take and section this out up in here and then tie it in back here, and it's going to look very, very nice. So all good to go, I think. I got the piece all made as we saw. It fits nicely, so I know my profile, my dimensioning is exactly right. Exactly. As exact as I make anything. But I'm happy with it, and it's going to work well. So I'll cut off a couple of pieces that are 36 inches long, because that's as long as I can use in that brake. And it's probably way longer than what I'm going to need for this piece, but I'd rather have some extra and trim it to fit. And so we'll make those up like this, 36 inches long, and we'll have our basic frame rail pieces to put in now. I'm gonna mention something for the purists here that I am well aware of. I've replaced frame rails in cars before. I know that there are some subtle variations and bending and so forth that happen in these. First of all, I'm going to accommodate for that when I make it. I know that it comes off the back and then dips down a little bit and goes like this, and then hoops back up over. Some of that, I don't care. Some of it, I'm going to duplicate. It's going to be a judgment call on my part where I do it. But remember that the point of what I do here is not to make things exactly factory perfect, right? It's to take an old piece of crap car that was in a pile with cars stacked on top of it and rust it to pieces and begin the transformation process of saving something that nobody else would touch. There was a comment on a video earlier from a guy who said about a different car here, that's not worth saving, you can buy one that's going to be a lot better shape. Well, yeah, I could. I don't want to buy one that's in better shape. I love doing this stuff. I like taking two big 4x8 sheets of metal and making something that most people wouldn't think about. So as I've said before, I'll say again in the show intro, taking on projects that others would deem beyond repair. And that's really what my car shop is about. It's, yeah, we could go out and spend a bunch of money and buy parts. That's not what this is about. This is to say, with a little time, a little determination, a willingness to make a big pile of scrap metal and throw parts away, you can do this work too. You know, I'm not here to teach you how to do everything, obviously, but I'm here to say that I've been doing this for, you know, almost 40 years at various capacities, and I'll promise you I have screwed up so much stuff. It's ridiculous. But with metal, if you don't like it, cut it out and do it again, right? The main thing is that it's safe. The main thing that you're having fun. That's what it's about. And I'm having a ball. I love doing this. I keep cutting myself. I keep forgetting to put my gloves on. I'm trying to be better. I'm very tactile. I don't like wearing gloves, but some of you guys have gotten after me for not wearing gloves when I'm doing this, and I'm trying to do better. I got a little prick in my thumb here, and you know, no big deal. It's like a pinprick. So, but you know, I'm working at it. I'm trying to be better. I bought myself a nice set of shop leather gloves for doing this metal work, so I'm aware and I'm working on it. I'm all about safety, which is ironic, but I just like feeling what I'm doing, and I can't do that with gloves. Going back to the message of making scrap metal, when I pro streeted that 68 Dart GTS, early 90s probably when I did that car. Yeah, I bought that car about 1993, and I tubbed it between 93 and 95. That was my philosophy back then. Two things. One, I may have a really big pile of scrap metal when I'm done, but I've learned something. Number two, and because it is a registered GTS with a GTS registry, the car was not worth restoring back in those days. I took a real muscle car, a collector's car now, but back then, the car was worth $8,000 in number one condition. So I cut that up. I said it takes a real man to cut apart a real muscle car, right? So point is, don't be afraid. Get after it. Get out there. Try some things. Learn some things. Pick up a couple of these tools for cheap like I did. Get yourself some sheet metal, even if you don't have a car, and start working at stuff. Start practicing. Get used to how to use a bead roller. If you don't have one, pick one up. Get used to how to make a sheet metal brake. If you don't have one, pick one up. If you can't afford to do that, get yourself a vise and a couple pieces of steel that are fairly thick that you can sandwich tin between, and get a hammer and start tapping it and learning how to form metal. That's what I did up until recently. I made all of this stuff with a couple pieces of bar stock and put them in the vise and clamped it and marked it and bent it that way. So there's more than one way to do this. It's just that I decided I wanted to up my game a little bit for this car, and I determined I was going to make all of these parts rather than going out and just buying replacement parts. So I spent the money on some tools to do that with the intention of making most of this stuff. So there you go. So the next step moving forward, we're going to get the car stabilized, get it centered up, get it on jack stands, make sure that everything is square. That's going to take some time, so there may not be another episode on this right away. And then there may be. I may go ahead and bend those frame rails for another episode. We'll see. But we'll get the frame rails bent up, and then we'll start the process of cutting the frame rails out and replacing the old rusty ones with the new ones that we've made. So I hope you enjoy this. Like I said, we're really here to show you that you can do a really nice car, 47 Ford, 69 Charger, 68 Dart GTS, and some of the other stuff we have around here. It doesn't have to cost you a lot of money if you're willing to put in the time. And I think we've gotten into the mindset in these days that I need to buy all these parts to do this. And I'm saying, no, you don't. You can make it. So it's not numbers matching, perfect, blah, blah, blah. That car isn't worth that anyway, right? So keep it in perspective. That's what we're here to show you, is you can do some really nice work, make some really respectable cars with minimal tools and just a lot of time. And, I always said I'm just too stupid to know it can't be done, so I keep doing it. Well, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you would subscribe to the channel, I would really like that. It's been great. We've been getting a few subscribers every day. I can see the channel starting to grow. That's getting exciting. I know where I want to take it. I know what I want to do with it. And you guys are making that happen, so thank you so much. So subscribe, hit the bell so you receive notifications when the new episodes come out. We're on Facebook and Instagram /MyCarShop. Spread the word. And as always, one more thing. Don't forget, rock.